Here we are at verse 18 of the book of Revelation. This is right after Christ comes. The one we had before was basically in the mid-trib when Antichrist destroys the apostate church and Satan working through him. Well, Satan has always wanted to put his, I'm going to ascend put my throne above the Most High God. I'm going to ascend above him. That's what Satan has always wanted. He's wanted the worship that is due God, and he will get it for a while from some very foolish people, but it will be destroyed. He will only sit on the throne 1,260 days. That's a very short reign. He has used that system, the Baelish system, the Babylonian system, for centuries. All these different, the 7 heads, 10 horns, and all that. The Baelish kings have sat on those thrones, were suckered into this thing. Talking about the wine over fornication, they've been blinded. It's like someone in a drunken stupor. They can't really, if you try to explain to people, really stuck in that system. And the Baelish system is still here with us. It's like talking to yourself. It's like beating your head against the wall. There are times when the Lord moves and they can actually, something happens and they actually wake up. But the Lord moves always when you witness with His Word. But a lot of people like that are scared unto death to get out of something like that because they're so comfortable with it. Something what I wanted to talk to you about. There's adultery and fornication. First of all, what is adultery? That's a sexual union between someone who is married and someone who is not, or someone who is married with someone who is married to somebody else. That is called adultery. Fornication, on the other hand, is two unmarried people having sex out of wedlock. Now, you, me, born again believer, are part of the bride of Christ. And the bride is married to the groom, who is Jesus Christ. People who are unsaved are not part of the bride. They're basically standing out. They are standing outside. They're separate. They're lost. They're lost and on their way to hell. When you get down to brass tacks, I'm talking about our sexual unions. Okay, there is a spiritual fornication and a spiritual adultery. People who are born again can engage with the world to go after those things that the world seems pleasant, things that are part of the Baelish system. People can go after idols, things of that nature. The Baelish system is just not some spiritual thing that hangs over your head. The Baelish system is an idol worship system. You have other gods. God said, you're not going to put any other gods before Him. People who are born again worship their houses, their cars, their back pockets, their wallets, all the stuff they have. Numbers and numbers of people, it seems to be increasing as Bible knowledge decreases in churches. You're hard put to find a church anymore that is actually teaching the Bible. People are not teaching a number of things because they don't want to make anybody mad, and they don't want anybody walking out the door. And it's for sure that nobody's going out the door to beat on doors to get somebody back in there to win the lost to Christ. That's when they commit a spiritual adultery by taking up with the world. Spiritual fornication is a person who is unsaved, who is not part of the bride of Christ, but that they've taken up with the world as well. They've taken up with all the stuff it can offer. They've got idols. They worship things that are not God as gods. All those things that people do. And you wonder how it might be called fornication, being it's not a sexual union, it's an intimate union. Let's face it, for those who know marriage, you know it's a very intimate thing. Adultery is a very intimate thing. Fornication is a very intimate thing. Spiritual fornication is also a very intimate thing. You become pardon me, I just washed my tongue, can't do a thing with it. You're intimate with the thing that you're worshiping the most. And this is what this is talking about. These people have become, the lost people that are in this tribulation period have become very intimate with a for a apostate system, which is now gone, because this is the tail end of the tribulation. Satan destroyed that, because if he had another worship system on earth, then nobody could worship him. So he destroyed that system, and now people are worshiping him directly through Antichrist. And Antichrist has already set himself up. He's gone into the temple, he stood in the Holy of Holies and said, "I'm God, worship me." And they destroyed that Baalish worship system. But the idea of worshiping God's ownership of things, all that nature, is still here. Everything that system provided is still here, and people are taking up on it. The lost are really into it. There's people on the earth right now that are born again, that have survived all the way through the tribulation period, or have become saved in some part of it. But it says, "Come out of her, my people," because it'll let you know that some people who are born again in this period have taken up with it. They've become intimate with it. They're committing adultery. I think I've covered that pretty good. If you disagree with me, there's things down below, and I'll talk with you. I'm not proud. I don't care who you are, because basically I am nobody. I'm just here telling you these things. And after these things I saw an angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, "Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." That doesn't mean it's fallen as a system yet, but it's just the depths of which it's plunged. And believe me, people can get pretty deep. Hey, there's Hollywood, there's television, there's all kinds of entertainment industry, and it'll show you how low people can go. Slavery still exists on earth, sex slavery, everything else. The depths of which human beings can fall is amazing. And once they fall that deep, I guarantee you, they can go deeper. Because we have a carnal sin nature within us that will take us to depths you would not believe. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication. There's that fornication again, the intimate details. The wine gets you drunk with it. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. They're sitting pretty. They're high on the old hog. And talk to your butcher if you want to know what that means. And I heard, eating high on the hog. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not her plagues." Don't get involved. If you're in the tribulation period, and I can't talk to you about that, because I don't know who's going to be there. But what it talks about is don't get involved. Don't get involved with the spiritual adultery with these people at this time, because God will judge you. You'll get to take part in judgment, and God's going to judge you. You're going to stand there and be judged. you're going to be judged in here as well if you're there, and I hope you're not. But you partake of her sins. I mean, God might not judge you right now, but you're going to stand in front of Him and be judged. And He won't be happy, to put it lightly. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Remember her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she has filled to her double. All the nasty things that she's filled this cup up with are coming back to grab her double. That also will not be pretty, and the results are not pretty. It was not pretty while it will be going on, but once it stops, it'll look even worse. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment, sorrow, give her. For she hath said in her heart, I am a queen. City of Babylon, the original city of Babylon is gone. Now, Saddam Hussein had a big thing going on, like he was some kind of potentate, some kind of king. And he had people out there digging the bricks out of the sand and stacking them back up into the city. But this is not that city. A city can be a group of buildings on land, but basically the city is a group of people. So this city is everything in the world that's going on, commerce, plus the people. Doesn't have to be located in Iraq like it used to be. This thing is going to be all over the earth. And that's thus saith Casey, and I believe I'm right about that. If you don't believe I'm right, join with me and you'll be right, okay? Or you can disagree with me. But any way you look at it, this particular city, this thing called Babylon, it will not be called Babylon then. It's just a word that is used in the Bible to show you how low you can go. I mean, limbo, limbo goes to the floor, but these guys can go lower. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. All this good stuff going on, everything's fantastic. I'm sitting pretty, I'm powerful, nothing can harm me. I'm blinded, I'm good and proper drunk on this system, and I can't see my hand in front of my face, therefore I can't see what's coming. And this is going to come as quite a shock. Therefore shall one plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. And the kings of the earth who has committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. I mean, this whole system, factories, stores, everything, this is an economic system. The original Baalish worship system is gone. Antichrist destroyed it. We're talking about an economic system of manufacturing, trading goods, people standing afar off for the fear of the torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. That's pretty quick after sitting there in an economic system that's going on for years and years. Hey, look at the economic system going on in this country. How many people that are buying and selling out there do you think would stick a knife in you and turn it to the right? Not many. When it comes to making big money, your humanity doesn't count to them. All they care about is the bottom line. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. It's all gone. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet. That's some very expensive. Purple and scarlet, even in Bible times, was hugely expensive. And all fine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and brass and iron and marble and cinnamon. The cooking shows are going to be up a creek. and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and the souls of men. Lots of prostitution going on. Lots of it. In fact, the Baelish system that had actual prostitutes, both men and women. There were certain times that a young boy would perform the rites and go see a Baelish hooker. That boy's in there doing her too. It was a mess then. It'll be a mess now, and then it'll be all gone. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly and departed from me are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. There is no hope of bringing this thing back up out of the fire. This is definitely not the phoenix. It is history. The merchants of these things which are made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of the torment, weeping and wailing. Man, the party is over. And alas, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches have come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company of ships and sailors, as many as trade by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? I'd say an ash heap is like unto this great city. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, the great city wherein we were made rich, all that had ships of the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate, never to rise again. And they go into mourning for stuff. Man, how many people on this earth have died because somebody else has wanted more stuff? I mean, all the kingdoms have been raised and fallen, but taking other kingdoms come in and take them over, and it's all over stuff. And people used religion like the Antichrist does, you know, to help boost all this thing along. And then they turn on their religious system because, hey, it was evil to begin with, right? But it's all about stuff, owning, you know, power and owning stuff. One guy, when I was in grade school, heard that he was buried in his new Cadillac. He passed away, and they buried him in the front seat of his new Cadillac. Where's he going to drive to? He's going to drive it to hell or heaven, but, well, he's going to show up in one of the other places, and did, but his car's still in the ground with his dead body in it. Man, talk about falling in love with stuff. Talk about the idol worship. I mean, it's horrific. I mean, I appreciate the vehicle I have and all that, but man, it's not God. I hope God takes care of it. I really, really do, but all the stuff that I have, this is just stuff. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged on you on her. And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of the harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of the millstone shall be heard no more and all in thee, and the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were great men of the earth, for by their sorceries were all nations deceived. Doing business is one thing. Doing business by lies and deceit and trickery is quite another thing. Don't ever think that God doesn't know what's going on. If you're a merchant, be honest about it. You're going to have to stand before God and explain it one day. If you're a good merchant, you stand up, Christian man or woman, yeah, God's not going to have a problem with you buying and selling. Just don't get deceived into thinking that the things you buy and sell are everything. Don't replace the God of the Bible with the God of Wall Street. For thy merchants were great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets, of saints, and all that were slain upon the earth. And that is exactly the reason why all of this happened. The system, that Baalish idol worship system, has murdered more people on this earth. The Inquisition, the Crusades, other peoples that have gone out in the name of gods and destroyed people on earth. People have gone to witness to them and try to bring them Jesus Christ, kill them left and right. Jerusalem, the city that killed the prophets. People trying to say, hey, if you'll straighten up, if you'll repent and do that 180 we were talking about, back to God, everything will be cool. But says, no, we don't need that. We'll just kill you so we don't have to listen to you. And each and every time something really bad happened to him. So in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints, Christians, born again believers, especially through the tribulation period. This particular system, either of the old apostate church or of this Baalish economic system, trying to get rid of Christians left and right, just like they're starting to do now. It's been going on quite some time. You know, there's more Christians who died for their faith in the 20th century than the other 19 centuries combined. So, you know, things like that are not coming, they're here. And it's a tough row to hoe, especially in a world that hates you, full of people that are unsaved and hate you just as much. Just remember, they hated Christ first. And if they hate you, they're actually hating Jesus Christ. And all the earth were slain, and all that were slain upon the earth. That's the 18th chapter. That talks about the destruction of the economic system, which kind of leaves these people up creek, like with nothing. Everything's a pile of rubble. Everything outside of God is a pile of rubble. Useless, pointless, idolatry, fornication, adultery of every kind. When things, if people would just seek God, things would be so simple. That's the thing about human beings. They religious, if they don't want to seek the God of the Bible, they will create one and worship it, even if it's made out of stone or wood. Made out there talking to trees. Yeah, people actually talk to trees like they actually could hear them. Either totally demented or totally fooled, and they're actually hearing the tree talk back. I could skip that myself. So anyway, you understand this system is going to be destroyed. This nifty system we have here in this country, it'll be destroyed, it'll crumble. There's always people around that know better how to run your life than you do, and they don't even know how to run theirs. So even this year's election is a kind of a referendum on that. So I'm going to get this put up on the net, and once again, Jesus Christ died, was buried, and resurrected to pay for your sins so you can live forever. If those things you believe in your heart, with your heart you'll cry out to God, and out of your mouth will come the confirmation that you've been saved. Lord, forgive my sins and save me, because you can, because you paid for sins, because you're God, because you came to do that. Trust in that. Don't trust in self, don't trust in stuff, because it all turns to dust. So, you have the message. God bless you, and you have the message.